Chris Wolf with Good Guy Swag, and I'm here down at Catalyst in Orange County. I'm here with Mike Foster, founded the organization People of the Second Chance, and you also have the book by the same name.
I do.
Now, and you know, this is actually my first time to meet Mike face to face, but we've been on Instagram for a while, and I just saw the other day that you had a report card and you had like D's and F's, and I never would have suspected that from you at all.
I was a horrible student. So my birthday was about a week ago, and my teenage son, who's a senior in high school, framed my report card from my senior year, and I had C minuses, and I got a D plus in advanced composition, which I find just, you know, the mercy and grace of God that you can still get a D plus in advanced composition and still be able to write books and things as an adult. And I think for me, it's such a great reminder of the way things start in our life. And sometimes they start pretty rocky for a lot of us, and it's pretty painful. And maybe we didn't get to grow up in a home that was, you know, safe or secure, or maybe, you know, our parents divorced, or maybe there's some type of trauma or whatever that happens early on in our life. The beauty of it is that doesn't have to define us. That D plus in my advanced composition on that
doesn't
report
define who Mike
does
Foster
not
is
define
today.
me, and it's like we're always in this state of growing, redeeming the broken things, and that's really that's what People of Second Chance is about. That's what the ministry is about. That's what I want to be a cheerleader for.
Yeah, and that kind of came from your own story and your own testimony, and I really could relate to that. Just, you know, you being even open and vulnerable to share about how you were sexually abused as a child, and I was too, and I feel like you're just giving hope to so many people out there. How did that lead to you starting People of the Second Chance?
Yeah, well, I always tell people that I am both the physician and the patient when it comes to grace. Like I need it so much in my own story and in my own life. It's almost like I started the ministry for me, just so I can enjoy it and learn to grow in grace and to work through some of those painful things in my own story. And so, to me, People of Second Chance is really my heart. It is a sense of what I want the church to grab a hold of, what I want our society to grab a hold of. And yet too often we're not actually People of Second Chance. We tend to be very judgmental people. We tend to be very divided. We tend to be prideful or not even in tune with our own brokenness until we get on our soapboxes and we start pointing our fingers and telling people how to live their lives. And really the sense of this mutual vulnerability, this compassion, our own brokenness and our own stories. Like, I think I'm a much more empathetic person, a much more compassionate person, a person who is slow to speak on certain things because of my own story. Not my story of success, my story of brokenness.
And I think we can all relate to that. I feel like I'm like more of the people of the 10,000th chance or something like that.
Too,
you talk a lot about shame and identity, and I feel like, you know, since we run this website for men, I think those are like two of the biggest things that men struggle with nowadays. When you look up identity on the internet, you get like identity fraud, and, you know, it's all about credit card stuff. But how would you define identity to a guy who might be watching this right now, or girl too?
Yeah, to me, I actually teach this, and I do a 2-day workshop called Rescue Academy, and I teach a lot about identity because I think it's sort of the foundation that we build everything on. And so I say that if your identity is broken, then your life is broken, and you'll never get beyond the perception or beliefs that you have about yourself. You never grow past those. And so if I'm allowing shame or my brokenness or maybe the abuse from my childhood to be my identity, life is going to be very, very difficult. And life is not going to be full or rich or flourish the way I believe God wants it to work. And I think for men especially, like, we talk about shame, and sometimes we say that word shame, and men don't self-identify with that. They go, oh, I'm good. And they've so bottled and so concealed and so have surrounded their shame with performance and perfectionism and success. But I always say, I talk about this in the workshop, volcanic rage, anger, is just a fruit of the shame machine that's happening in our hearts. So you may not feel shame, or you may feel like, oh, and I'm struggling with shame, but you have race heart. That's the underlying issue. There is a sense of I'm not enough, I'm unworthy, I am not valuable. Again, those are all the messages that shame throw off into our hearts. And so I really encourage men in general to say, okay, are there things in my life, in my story, and in my heart right now that I have just bottled up, covered up? I've been running so hard and so fast with work, with my schedule, that that has been my coping mechanism. And really, if we want to experience that freedom, that true flourishing that God has for us, we actually have to slow down and start looking at those things in our story that hurt. That we have to test some of our limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves. We have to go back to our true identity of who God says we are. And He says we're the beloved, that we're made in the image of God, that we have unique strengths and gifts, that He designed us in our mother's womb. Like, all of that is true of you. And yet so often we operate from this false self, or this shadow self, or this shame self that just creates a lot of destruction in our lives.
Yeah, I think that's something really difficult for people to say, is that God really loves me and that I'm God's favorite, you know?
Yes, it is. It's in fact, I always say this, that God not only does He love you, but He likes you, and even one layer even beyond liking you, that God enjoys you. And when we actually have the full breadth of that understanding, because I think we hear that God loves us. We hear that a lot. We sing that in songs, we read it. We're like, yeah, right. But really, it's almost the like. He likes me and He enjoys me. It's this whole like, okay, I'm not sure I feel that God enjoys me. That when I wake up in the morning, that He's excited that I'm here, that He's excited to have us as part of His family. Those are things I think most men, maybe it's a head thing. We've got it in our head. We've theoretically worked it out in our head, but it hasn't quite gone to the heart.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. And I think just to kind of sum it up, and what Mike's saying is like, just come as you are. You know, You're accepted. Nirvana sang about it.
It's a good song.
But we should be singing it too.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Thanks. I'll say, man, if anybody wants to know more about kind of the resources and some of the things that we're doing, maybe some of your viewers are struggling in these areas, it's secondchance.org. Has a lot of resources that really help people experience freedom in their lives.
Yeah, and Mike has some other programs too. Like I said, like Mike said, peopleofthesecondchance.org, and then you can also find his book, which is of the same name, People of the Second Chance.
Yeah, at Amazon.com.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks, my friend.